Hello, I'm Philip Duncan from Weather Watch TV on YouTube with a special Saturday update as we track the typhoon that is heading towards the Philippines later on Sunday and going into Monday. Let's kick off with the animated wind map from earth.nullschool.net. You can check out this map and others on that website right now. So this is the placement as we recorded this on Saturday morning, well out at sea, but the northerly wind, the northerly airflow ahead of it now starting to pick up around some parts of the Philippines. And that's going to continue to build over the next 2 days as the storm not only moves closer towards you, but also gets stronger. We expect it to be at its strongest as we go through Sunday. So let's have a look at the satellite imagery at the moment, showing some very explosive clouds here forming in the white and the black. That means that the tops of the clouds are very high up into the atmosphere. So very heavy rain, but it's moving away from Yap now. And because it's out at sea, plenty of room to grow, especially over those warm sea surface conditions at the moment. So that storm is going to get stronger and more powerful as it moves towards northern parts of the Philippines as we go into Sunday, and of course some of these eastern areas as well. Here is the latest tracking from the Joint Typhoon Warning Centre. You can check them out to see if they've had any other updates since we've done this video. Here is the latest tracking. So we're talking about these circles sort of measuring the wind and how strong they are, and also the timestamps indicate the speed of the movement forwards of this storm. So each circle pretty evenly spaced apart, but the good news here, it is a little bit of good news, always try to find a silver lining, is that it looks like it will speed up a wee bit as it moves over the Philippines. So that's good because the longer it lingers, the higher the risk of flooding and mudslides and more wind damage. So there is a bit of good news in there, but it's still going to be tracking over Luzon for at least 6 hours. That's the center of the storm. It may go longer than that. So it's still an extremely serious situation as we head in towards Sunday. So here is the map going into Sunday, only 2 in the morning in the Philippines, 948 hectopascals. That's a little bit higher with the air pressure than it was a few days ago. That is the good news. Perhaps may not reach that super typhoon status, but it will be close. So keep up to date with the local authorities because, you know, we're recording this on Saturday. There's still at least another day and a half to go before this moves in and starts to bring severe weather. And again, 2 different models here. The white is the American modeling and the black animated one, that's the European modeling. It shows they're very aligned in the same place. The only difference is obviously the European one and the black a little closer. So that just means that the European modeling is picking that this storm will track a little faster than the American modeling. It's on the same tracking line, it's just moving in a bit faster. So in other words, every timestamp you see, you can sort of move it around 6 hours or so based on the fact that there's just a little bit of discrepancy between those 2 computer models. Let's move through now to as the severe weather moves in. It's in this zone where you see all of these white isobars together. This is just the American modeling now. And this is when we will first start to see that severe weather. That's around about 8 o'clock on Sunday evening. But like I just said, that could arrive 6 or several hours earlier than what you see if that European modeling is more accurate. But either way, it is going into Sunday and across Sunday that we expect to see the severe weather. And as those northeasterlies come over these eastern ranges, they will be even stronger around places like the city of Santiago and other communities and villages in that area. So very strong winds moving in ahead of the storm, and then of course the very worst of the winds right here at the center. And then on top of that, you've got the wave heights. Over 14 meters, really significant wave heights coming through here on top of the storm surge. So coastal inundation in low-lying areas is certainly possible in this area here where you see the dark shading along the eastern coastline. So here is when we expect the storm center to have properly made landfall. That's when the middle of the eye is over land. And that is exactly what you're seeing here. So damaging winds over a large portion of Luzon as this moves in. It is mostly north of Manila based on this modeling. But as I said yesterday, it only takes a slight shift southwards and the severe wind around the center here could move closer to much more populated areas down to the south. And then we jump forwards now to 5 o'clock Monday morning, and now we start to see Uwan exiting from the western side of the Philippines. But these are still damaging winds all the way around it. That is a large portion of Luzon in the north there getting damaging winds, and of course the very heavy rain on top of it. And then we show the 2 models here. This is going through to 11 o'clock Monday, going towards lunchtime Monday. Both of the modelling shows that the storm is offshore by this point. However, the American modelling, which is, as we've mentioned, running a little bit behind the European one, damaging winds could still be coming in and around that system. So it is moving away out to the west. The east is now starting to see the winds really easing right back, lighter winds coming through, but there could still be the rain around. And then we move further out. Now the storm looks to be completely offshore by the time we get to the end of Monday and now going into Tuesday. So let's have a look at that wind animated for you. And the worst of the winds right here near the center where it goes, you'll notice it starts to get a white shading to it right there. There we go. So that's where it goes off the key here. That's where it could be at its most severe. And then it falls apart as it moves over. And that will take 6 to 12 hours, comes out the other side and starts to strengthen again, which could push winds back against that western coastline. So those are the moving parts to do with the wind. Let's now have a look at the rain. I'll animate this. This is for the weekend and Monday and Tuesday. So as the storm moves on in from the east, the rainfall mostly here around the center of the storm, but as it actually makes landfall, that rain spreads out because of the mountains and the ranges which hold it up. And that's why you're seeing the blue, which is the heaviest of the rain here, 300 millimeters or more in this central part. You see it spread out. That's going up against the two sets of ranges moving down the Philippines there. So very heavy rain. This is the area in all of the blue that you're seeing even further to the south of Manila. You're seeing rainfall totals of 300 millimeters. That's at the lower end. Some areas could be seeing double that. And so that causes significant flooding, especially when it falls over a short period of time. So that is certainly a concern. You need to keep up to date with your local authorities to get your official weather warnings. And this is where you can find them. I'm sure most of you already know this, but that's where you can get the official warnings from the Philippines. Now, we don't have another video this weekend. I'm sorry about that, but we can't do one on Sunday or Monday. So in the meantime, check out Westpac Weather on YouTube. Robert puts out some really great videos. They're quite descriptive and gets a lot more technical, and also Robert knows a lot more about the local province names, knows how to say most of them. So you can get a lot more information from him and of course the official Filipino observations there. Thank you so much for joining me these past few days. I wish you all the very best for those of you in the Philippines, and I'll see you again next week.